Okay, cool. I guess, are you ready to formally start this thing? Whatever this is?
Dude, I've been ready since, like, forever.
Okay, well, I don't know how to intro this. My name's Jason.
Hey! Welcome to Jason and Ryan talk about various topics, including but not limited to video games, and that's it.
Probably. I mean,
episode
I had a
1.
movie I might talk about today.
Oh, and various other medias.
Yeah. Yes, we'll
And
think. Maybe we'll think of a
happens.
title if this actually becomes a thing. Who knows?
That was the title.
Ryan and Jason talk about things. Episode 1.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan. How have you been doing?
All right,
dude?
Jason.
How's life?
Honestly, super freaking busy with school and stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? Other than that, can't complain. Anything new happening in your life?
Well, we haven't talked a whole lot in the last 2 weeks because I got married and I've been kind of busy.
Yeah.
Last time I saw you was at my own literal wedding.
Yeah.
But yeah, life's super good.
It's
We're
pretty
settled into our new apartment.
Heck yeah.
We've settled
Fridge is
down.
working?
Huh?
The fridge is working?
Fridge is working? Yeah, our fridge is working. Our refrigerator
That's
is
good.
running correctly.
That's good.
Yeah, and we life has settled down enough. We're like settled into our apartment enough that I can actually start playing a video game or two, or like working on a video essay or something, like thinking about those kinds of things again, which is great because that means I have things to talk about today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, bro. So this is Ryan and Jason talk about things because there's some things that we have feelings about and we want to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about, Ryan?
What video essay have you mentioned a video essay and I gotta know.
Okay.
I gotta know.
Okay.
I gotta hear the pitch.
Okay. So, this is actually great. This is one of the great things about this little podcasty thing is because making a video essay is a lot of work, and I really hate writing scripts. But like I tried the other day, like I have like some bullet points, and I tried just like offhanding it the way that I would when I talk to you about something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And it really didn't work, so I really do need to like actually script, which sucks.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward to recording this when I can just talk about this thing, and that is a visual novel called Psycholonials. I'm pretty sure you haven't heard of that.
So what's it called again?
Psycholonials, as in like psycho and colonial, or maybe like psychological. I don't know. It's a fun little portmanteau.
I think I've heard the name, but I have no idea what it's about.
So it's a visual novel. It's the most recent project of one Andrew Hussey, who is the author of Homestuck. That's what he's mainly known for, and a plethora of other like web comics and small games and stuff. But most well known for Homestuck in that universe. So Homestuck finished in like 2016, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Homestuck did finish in 2016. The way that I remember that is because Homestuck ran for like 8 years, and those 8 years perfectly line within the Obama presidency. It started in 2009 and it ended in 2016. So that's how I remember.
It's all a conspiracy. It's all a conspiracy.
The stars were aligned. The circumstances were just so that Homestuck could happen.
Yeah.
And the second Trump came into office, it had to end. But yeah, so Psycholonials is
the reason Donald Trump was elected is because Homestuck ended. And people are like, we need something else now. It's time to move on.
But so Psycholonials is it must have been like a COVID project of Andrew Hussey's, because it actually takes place during COVID, and it was released. He first started teasing it in like the end of 2020, and it was released the beginning of 2021. It was released in like 9 chapters. it's actually pretty funny. They were released every 2 weeks, starting in February, ending the ninth chapter was released on April 20th, because of course it was. Andrew Hussey, like, when he was writing Homestuck 2, he did the same thing where just like important pages would always land on like important days. Usually not 420, but it's just like, of course, the last chapter came out on 420.
Which also happens to be Hitler's birthday.
Wow. Is it really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, it's not awesome. He did awful things, but anyway, that's funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say you wanna walk that one back, or
we all celebrate his birthday by doing drugs to forget. It's a visual novel about. It's about the main character is a girl named Jen, but she goes by Z, and she is in COVID like everybody else. The story starts in like April of 2020.
Yeah.
And she lives on this island. I don't remember what it's called, like Nantucket Island or something. That might be something else. But it's this little island off the eastern coast, like in New England. And and it's about her and her influencer friend Abby being influencers, and through the power of social media, starting a social movement called the Jubilite movement, where people dress as clowns and are anti-government and super leftist, and basically in the end they topple the U.S. government. The clowns do. And it's it's a very bizarre story. And it's like the whole thing is weird, because like it's all very like anti-government. It's down with the government. It's very anti-capitalist. It's about I don't know, these screwed over millennials. It's toppling the federal government, and they hate cops, and it's just ridiculous. And it's hard to parse. Sometimes it's hard to parse when like the message, like whether the author is condoning the actions that the characters are taking, or whether it's like all irony and like
it's all
making
just
fun of it. It's actually really hard to tell. I feel like but. Yeah, one of my favorite things about it, and one of the things that I think makes it really interesting to talk about and analyze, and like worth making a video essay about, and just telling the story of it, is because the story goes extraordinarily silly and ridiculous and absurd places, but it goes there like by degrees. You know, it starts very mundane, just in our, it's Z and Abby are normal people. And it's like you start somewhere normal, you end somewhere ridiculous, but almost every step along the way is totally believable, if that makes sense, which I think is really, really satisfying to read. I love stories that do that, that just like take really mundane things to their extremes. But basically she like she has these weird dreams where she has this vision of basically like a clown god that she spreads the doctrine of, and she starts this like Instagram account or whatever where she dresses up as a clown, as her clown Sona, and she just posts
so this
stuff.
isn't just a political movement, but it's a religious movement.
In the end, basically, yeah. It's
okay.
But like so the inciting incident, because like the first chapter is just like an exploration of Z as a person, and she's pretty depressed, and she's just like you learn some of her history, you learn about Abby and stuff, and the first chapter is like entirely within her apartment, because it's like really early COVID, and then they can't go out. And then she falls asleep and has this dream where she sees like her dead dad, that like is haunting her, kind of like just like trauma that you see reflected throughout the story. And then she has a vision of this like clown god, which I'm pretty sure she's had before. And
As you do.
And then she's like super hammered drunk and is going across the island, like driving across the island to go to Abby, who lives in like this mansion her parents are gone or whatever. And she crashes her car because she's drunk, and a cop comes up. And like Z steps out of the vehicle and is like yelling at him because of course she's anti-cops, and he fires a bullet over her head, and it goes through like her manifesto that she's written, this manifesto that becomes like the foundation of this freaking clown movement, and so the cop shoots it, which is meaningful, and then she like pounces on him and gets his gun and shoots him in the chest like 6 times. And she kills a cop.
Jeez, that took a turn.
That's how it starts. That's like the inciting incident is in this freaking thing.
Wow, so it starts with murder.
Yes, and it's and
wow,
it's freaking ridiculous. And then like the next couple chapters, I think the second chapter, her and Abby, she like doesn't tell Abby about this. Her and Abby are like starting the beginnings of like her influence, like her social media account and her her like influencer career and all that, and she's starting to introduce some of her like the beginnings of these like ideologies and super leftist ideas, and then I think the end of chapter 2 is like the police come to Abby because they're like trying to find trying to find Z. They come to Abby and she like lies for Z and like covers for her, and then her like following starts to grow, and then pretty soon they are like embezzling money from Abby's rich parents, and they use that money to get more money, and what's the next thing that happens? They start like followers start coming to the island, and they all dress up in clown paint, and then there's like freaking turf wars between them and the cops, and then they eventually like seize control of the island, and then they're freaking like there's this like they basically have like this council of clowns, and then there's like a freaking coup, and Z puts it down, and then there's like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's freaking ridiculous, and it's insane and it's unhinged. And in the end they like the ending is interesting because the whole game is hinting towards like in between chapters there's these interludes where there's this like narrator that speaks to you, the player, instead of Z. I guess they like speak to Z, but you as the player, I don't know. And they offer you like choices where it's like, it's always a choice of like, do you keep going or do you stop? It's like, okay, do you turn yourself in or do you keep hiding? Or later it's like, okay, do you send out like, now that you have this whole like this system of clowns and all that, do you send out the kill message to like tell them to start attacking all the cops and stuff, or do you wait? You always have these choices, and the visual novel presents you like 2 options when before you were just going to the next page over and over, and it tricks you each time where you can't actually choose either of them. Like once you try to, it like locks them and is like, oh, you're not a true successor yet. You can't make meaningful choices. And so there's imagery there of like Z not being in real control of all of this, that like she started this and now it's out of her control. And so the end of the story is like it's gotten too big and it's gotten out of control and they toppled the US government and Z has the final choice to take the crown, which is like assume control as the leader of this new world, or the sword, which is like to step down and run away. And it actually offers you that choice for real. But even then, like you tried whatever, regardless of what you choose, Z herself makes that choice and decides to like step down and run away, and her and Abby like flee to freaking Fiji or something, and they live out their life happily
because she's a coward.
Because she's a coward, but also because she it's like it's her redemption, because you've been watching this semi-sympathetic, really awful person character just do more and more awful things and sink further and further.
Yeah.
And she gets away from it in the end. And it's really interesting. It has some interesting messages. It has a lot of cool stuff that I think is worth, and it has some stuff that's really interesting and worth analyzing, I think, in like visual novel, not visual, in like video essay form. But that's the gist of it. It's freaking wild. I don't know if I can really recommend other people read it, because it's kind of unpalatable in some ways, but it's really fascinating in other ways.
Yeah.
And like the art style is like really, you have to buy into the art style, because it's like pretty objectively ugly. But
is it like in the Homestuck style?
It's similar, whereas Homestuck's whole deal was that everything was like cartoonish, and like specifically used even like sprites for a lot of it,
right,
to speed up making the comic. And this doesn't do that, but it does do what Homestuck does. I guess it does a little bit of sprite work, actually, where like sometimes the characters are simplified and just drawn as like sprites, and other times they're actually drawn, but still like it's all very pixely. And the backgrounds, basically everything that's not the characters is like photorealistic collages, which is really interesting style. It's just like compressed and filtered. Like all the guns and stuff. I think all the guns and stuff are like photos of guns that these characters are holding. It's really interesting visual style that I actually really like, especially in like the like animations. I think each chapter basically ends with like a cinematic, and those look really cool. But sometimes the art just like looks pretty bad. But it's interesting because even then, like there's some really interesting messages and things that the comic has to say that it conveys through the art. Like I mentioned, how sometimes characters are portrayed really simply and more like a sprite, and other times they're more detailed. And so the first follower to come to the island is this. She literally calls him a simp, whose name is Percy, who she just like. Let's go. Before the movement and all that starts, Z like basically is like catfishing him and like tells him to. I don't know. It's like he doesn't really buy it, but he's like one of her first followers on Instagram, right? Before she goes to all clown mode, and she tells him to come to the island, and when he does, like every time Percy, like first off, after that initial conversation with Percy, he never speaks ever again, and he's always drawn in the simple the simple sprite style. Even when everyone else in the room is drawn detailed, he is always drawn simply, and he never speaks again, you know? And it's like everybody, when you're reading, it's portrayed like, with, you know, an image, and then you have a text box on the side with like everybody's dialogue and sometimes like narration. And everybody has like a color to their speaking, except for Percy, which is just plain white. You know, so there's all this imagery to it, like Z. It sort of shows how like Z sees Percy and a lot of other characters, because they're always drawn in that simple style. And the other thing, the same thing for the police, because like the police are always shown just as these like simple sprites, these pawns. And Percy also doesn't. When everybody talks in like the format of a page is like an image and there's an image and a like a text box, and when people are talking, they have like a color that they talk in. Like Z is purple and Abby is blue, and Percy, when he talks, he's always just normal white, which is the same color as the narration. So he also doesn't even have a color, you know. And all of it just like hammers home that he doesn't matter. He is not viewed by others as like meaningful or I don't know, as a real person. And so all of that is really impactful because Percy is the first one to come to the island. He's the first one to like follow Z through all this, and she freaking kills cops to get him onto the island, and it's freaking ridiculous. And like there's this really dramatic and traumatic moment, like when he comes onto the island and is like immediately arrested because I guess they were probably like tapping Z's phone or something. I don't know. They know that he's related to Z, and Z is suspect number 1 in the killing of a police officer. And so as soon as he steps foot onto the island, he gets arrested, and Z like rams the back of that police car, kills the cops, and like takes Percy.
What the nuts?
And this is also like a step up, because this is like in broad daylight, and you see that like people are filming this happening. I
think you joined the Discord call.
Oh, well, get me out of there. Okay, I muted myself on the Discord call because I don't trust it.
Cool.
Yeah, and then she's like telling Percy like her plan and like why she did all this, and Percy clearly is drawn with like a very simplistic, concerned face, but like he never speaks. He never does anything after that, you know? All of that to say, it makes it even more impactful when Percy is the first one to die for the movement. He gets shot. And in the scene where he is getting shot, he is drawn fully rendered as he like looks to Z and like falls to the floor kind of thing. He is drawn fully as a person. And it's like, I read that as like, oh, Z sees him as a person for the first time, you know, as he's dying, you know, like realizes that it's just that kind of thing. I think it's a really cool moment. It's freaking messed up and awful that he dies, but just like that change in art style.
Right.
It's just cool how like the art style is kind of ugly at times and kind of jarring and a lot, but because of that, the author can do some interesting things. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in like that I think is worth analyzing and talking about that I'd want to put into a video essay, but writing scripts is hard.
Yeah. I think that sounds super interesting. While you were gone, I already put a time minimum on that video essay for you.
Okay, a minimum.
I hope you can do 8 hours or more.
No. Dude, it doesn't even take 8 hours to read the visual novel.
That's what I told the people. So that's what they're going to expect now.
Great, thank you.
So you can either deliver or disappoint.
We'll see. I would be amazed if I could get like. I actually don't. I have zero frame of reference for how long this little video essay would be, because part of what I want to do, I don't just want to do analysis. I also want to do like a full summary of the plot, like a detailed summary, because basically I'm trying to make a video that is a stand-in for reading the visual novel, and so that would definitely stretch it out. And I think summarizing things like that is fun. But yeah. So yeah, that's something cool I wanted to talk about. What's something cool you want to talk about, Ryan?
I've talked to you about this before, about how I want to like start a proper YouTube channel.
Ooh, yeah.
Just because I think it'd be fun, and I haven't really done anything with it. Currently, my most viewed video is something I uploaded for a lab for a class I'm in.
Classic.
It has 1.2 thousand views. I don't know who wants to watch an LED blinking for 30 seconds on a breadboard, but apparently there's an audience for that.
That's amazing.
1.2 thousand people found that interesting enough, I guess. It's literally just an LED alternating on and off every second, and that's all it is. But anyways, I had this idea, because I'm a big fan of Minecraft. I think it's one of the most perfect games ever made, and you can fight me on that. I
would agree. It's one of the most important games ever made.
No, one of the most perfect games.
Okay.
I'm not bending on this.
Would you say that a perfect game needs additions? Because I think my only problem with Minecraft is that they won't stop updating it.
I don't know if that's so much a problem.
Because I mean, like,
because the core
it makes
game,
the money. It makes sense that they would never stop.
Well, and the core gameplay loop is the same every time they update it. Just because they update it doesn't mean you have to actually change the way you play the game.
That's true.
It just adds more things to decorate with and explore.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor there. Basically, everybody I watch who plays Minecraft and does big things with it uses the debug menu, uses external resources, like finding slime chunks and that sort of thing. And I had this idea. I was like,
Uses wikis.
Yeah, wikis and all that stuff. And I was thinking, well, what if instead of metagaming Minecraft, I just played Minecraft as if I were the character in the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like not using the debug menu, not using external resources, actually using the books and journal mechanics in the game, actually using the maps and banner waypoint mechanics in the game, and all that stuff, and so doing everything
some light
in-game.
role playing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Not metagaming in the sense of building, giant dark boxes in the sky that monsters spawn in, like that sort of stuff. And I thought, what if I kept it more to things like you could reasonably expect the Minecraft character to do in that situation that doesn't take advantage of game mechanics, that doesn't that doesn't exploit game mechanics, because monster farms are a pretty staple thing in Minecraft, but they are in a way an exploit of the fact that monsters spawn in certain conditions, right? And
yeah, so they are. It's metagaming basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought, what if I recorded this series where I don't do any of that, and I want to see how interesting it is, and frankly, I think I like playing that way better, keeping it to the game and nothing else. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be an interesting take on things, because nothing will be as precise or as efficient, but I feel like it might be more meaningful, or as meaningful as it can get in a game like Minecraft. I don't know. So that's what I've been up to. I recorded the first little bit today. Finished a decent little house. Yeah. I'm gonna do all the commentary post.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I assume you're recording you're gonna do the commentary in post.
Right.
So you're not recording voiceover while you play.
Exactly. So my plan is to have the character write down everything in a journal, and that's the script.
Okay. So and then would you edit the video to be? Would you edit the video to be? I guess you'd be speaking in past tense, and then just showing the clips of what you did.
Exactly. Exactly. So right? almost like a flashback sort of thing. Where it's so I started in this place, and then I went and did this thing and did that, and then I showed the corresponding video clips with that. So it's more like telling a story rather than showcasing a series of gameplay elements.
I guess that's one of two ways I could see this going, because when you were first describing it, my first thought was a really old machinima series called the Mind of Freeman.
Yeah.
This is 15 years old, and what that was a person playing Half-Life, I believe Half-Life 1. Yeah, a person playing through Half-Life 1 and role playing as Gordon Freeman. The joke and the whole conceit being that really Gordon Freeman in the first Half-Life game, the start of the game is literally Gordon Freeman going to work like normal, right. And then things go horribly wrong, and they open this portal, and aliens come in, and things start getting destroyed, and everybody's dying, and he's fighting for his life. And so the person is playing. There's a person voiceovering. I have no idea whether that the voiceover was done during or in post, but they're just role playing as an ordinary dude caught in this circumstance and acting like how someone would react. And there's a lot of entertainment value and a lot of it's really interesting to see, to also watch this character like become a killer, you know, in order to survive. He becomes a really ruthless guy. Yeah. And you just, and then also you just get the comedy of like just hearing his internal monologue, and the guy spoofs off the game and stuff and riffs on stuff, and it's entertaining. So it's interesting that you're going in a different direction, which is more, you're not going for moment to moment internal monologue. You're going for, it sounds like what you would have the power, you would have the capability to do things that are much more narrative based. If you wanted to.
That's more the idea, because I don't think I could pull off live commentary and live role playing. I don't know if I would want to either.
That would be really hard.
Yes, it'd be incredibly difficult, especially since I don't imagine the Minecraft character talks all that much, or even at all, because he's literally alone in this great wilderness expanse. You know what I mean? And so to me, it makes more sense that he writes everything down. So that's the direction I want to go with it, and have it just be a narrative of the Minecraft character's life and experiences being in the Minecraft world, I guess, and trying to, you know, maybe there'll be some character progression, maybe there won't. I don't actually know. I haven't got that far yet, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. That's awesome that you're. That's super awesome that you've already started it.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I know nothing about video editing, so that's going to be a bit of a learning curve to figure out how to actually do that. So if you have any video editor suggestions, I'd be more than happy to hear them. But yeah, I'm excited for how it's going to turn out. I feel like it could be a really fun project, because I love Minecraft, and I feel like this could be a fun way to you know, put my stuff out there in it.
And the first step is to start, right? Like,
yes, sir.
There are a lot of ways, there are a lot of directions that this kind of project could go, and it could develop into something more narrative, and that could be really interesting. Or even just like because you're doing so much of it in post, you could literally create set pieces in the world. You know, you could plan events, you could, and then tailor the editing however you wanted, you know. But I would 100% say it's important not to get bogged down in that, and the important things to start. So that's awesome that you have.
Oh yeah,
that's really cool, dude.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I've also never seen anybody do anything like this too. So I feel like it's not like copy paste. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Minecraft has been on the internet since its creation, basically, and it feels like everything's already been done. But I've never seen anything like this, and I've consumed much Minecraft media in my days. So perhaps too much. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I used to work graves, working security, and I would torment my coworkers by putting on a 6-hour... No, it was more than that. Putting on a playlist that had almost 400 Minecraft parodies on it, and just let it run.
My goodness!
And I even got so diabolical as to set the Chrome settings on every computer, so that was the first thing that opened.
Oh my gosh! That is horrible.
It made me so happy.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah,
that is actually horrible.
It was a really good time. It's one of the few things I miss about that job.
Yeah, the only my only exposure to using Minecraft as a narrative vehicle is the Dream SMP. And
I've never seen that, actually.
For the longest time when I would hear people talk about the Dream SMP, or when I'd hear stuff freaking like friggin' animations and fan fictions and crap on the internet. Whenever I saw that crap, I was like, this is the most cringe crap I've ever seen in my life. But there is, and I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't want to know anything about it. But there is, I stumbled upon this YouTube series that is like a retelling, this YouTuber who's been working for a long time to retell the plot and the story of the Dream SMP in ridiculously high production value videos where like everything he uses a lot of footage from it itself, but also like freaking fully animates crap, and it's ridiculous how
that would be something I'd watch. I feel like that could be really interesting.
Yeah, I think you'd love it. Like it's surprisingly interesting because the it's a kind of storytelling that I've literally never seen done before, where the Dream SMP survival Minecraft SMP, what is it, freaking survival multiplayer, I don't know, I don't even remember.
I never remember what it stands for.
But it started literally as just a survival server with Dream and some other YouTubers and personalities and stuff, streamers, and so they would just stream playing survival Minecraft together. And then the first like conflict that started was one streamer got one streamer like found a music disc and like I think Dream stole it, and there was like this whole conflict, and there was a lot of drama, and people tuned in to watch this like conflict of this back and forth. And then the next thing that happened is like one of the streamers banded some others together and were like, okay, Dream is kind of, because I think Dream was playing in creative mode. I don't know. He was like, okay, Dream is kind of being, I don't know, controlling. So they literally like declared themselves as independent and tried to make like their own country. And the other Dream and the other people like fought back against that. And there was this like freaking revolutionary war. And it turned, it turned from like survival-y stuff and just interpersonal drama into literally like a written narrative that then the streamers got on stream and literally acted out in the game, where they would like act out the next scene that they had planned and written, and because they did it that way, it was able to grow into a really big, dramatic, intense narrative, and it's fascinating because I've never seen anything like that before, where it was a pretty fascinatingly natural transition from, as far as I know, from like them just streaming and being themselves and playing this game to now they're playing characters of themselves. They're playing the versions of themselves on stream in this story together. Right. They have roles to play outside of just and so all of that is like real time acting and interacting and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I was just bringing that up as my only other base for like using Minecraft narratively to tell a story. Yeah. And that's pretty impressive really what they've done with it. Yeah. I don't know. I'll send you those videos. Those like summary videos are really actually pretty interesting to watch. Yeah, no, it's a guilty pleasure of mine to watch things like that. I don't know if you saw this at all. It felt kind of like a flash in the pan kind of thing. Like they were everywhere and then they were nowhere. But it was these videos where it was like 100 players simulate civilization in Minecraft and that sort of thing. Yeah. Where somebody I've
would
never
just
watched
make
that kind of thing, but I've never seen that clickbait crap. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that's what I thought for a long time. I was like, okay, whatever, it's clickbait. And then I work these 8-hour shifts. I'm like, freaking, I'm bored. Just give me something mindless to listen to. And I clicked on one of these, and I was like, oh wait, this is actually like kind of good. Because what it is this person creates a giant Minecraft server, invites 100 random people to it, and it does that same sort of thing as the Dream SMP. Where you have factions and people role play and you have conflict and all sorts of stuff and they go back and they edit it and they tell a narrative in a really compelling way. And they'll follow certain characters throughout it and follow nations and different things they do and it's I don't know, it's really interesting, especially since like I don't see them hardly at all anymore. And I don't know where they went, but there were tons of them. It was like 100 people simulate civilization in a zombie apocalypse, and all that stuff, and it was better than it had any right to be.
Yeah,
but it's worth a it's worth a look-see-loo.
That's cool, and I like that you're trying your hand at something similar to that. That's really cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Will it get as many views as my blinking LED? Probably not. Am I okay with that?
Yes. Nice.
We love blinking LEDs.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I had something else I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Which is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
I've heard that movie is really good. I haven't seen it myself yet.
Hey Ryan, have you seen Puss in Boots?
I've seen.
I have seen it twice.
The first one. I haven't seen The Last Wish though.
The first Puss in Boots is hot trash compared to this one. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
This is like the best animated movie I've seen in freaking ages.
Yeah.
Puss in Boots is amazing. I heard I definitely I am very deep into the side of YouTube that is like children's animation analysis and stuff like that.
Same side of YouTube.
I love video essays. My video essay journey started, I'm pretty sure, solidly in like video game territory, and now it's a lot broader than that. But a pretty significant portion of it is listening to people talk about children's animation. So when Puss in Boots came out,
so it's a weird amount of people who talk about it at length.
There's a freaking lot with like very high production value and a lot of
they're all really good. That's the thing.
And like you have some video essayists who talk about you have some video essayists who talk about all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And then you specifically have some who like Quentin Reviews who are just like, I'm going to talk about iCarly for 6 hours. Or
I recently watched
Shay
this
Frillis
whole...
were like, I'm going to talk about Pixar and DreamWorks 4 times a week forever.
Which sounds insane to me. I don't like I can't interpret art in the same way that those people do. I don't have it in me. Because I watched a 6.5 hour analysis of Toy Story 4 and why it's bad. And, like, he's pointing out stuff I'm like I would never even noticed.
I love when people put hundreds of hours of effort into making something just to tell you why a piece of media is bad. It's like, holy frick.
It was insane.
How can you be so motivated by hate that you're willing to put this much time?
He maintained the same high energy the entire 6.5 hours. He did not let up off the gas.
That's like multiple. That has to be like multiple recording sessions.
Oh yeah, no, he put it out in like 5 different videos and then put them all together and was like, "Oh, this is 6.5 hours." And the comments were full of people being like, "Yeah, like I didn't like Toy Story 4, but like I didn't dislike it that much that I would talk for 4 hours about it." You know, it blows my mind.
I love that side of the internet. That's the space I want to break into. Not the 6 hour space, but like the 1 hour space.
yeah. Start small. It'll suck you in. It'll suck you in.
I mean, no, dude. I don't mean break into that space as in watching it. I already watch it. I mean making it.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. It'll suck you in. It'll suck you in. 8-hour video essays.
well, one of my goals in life. One of my goals in life for years has been to summarize the entirety of Homestuck. Homestuck being a webcomic that is 8,000 pages long. Because I've seen people do it before. People have tried to summarize Homestuck, but they take broad strokes and their video is half an hour long. And it's like, no, I want page by page. I want to talk about everything. because for a similar reason as to this thing with Psycholonials, where it's like, this is a piece of media that I love, that's very important to me, and that I cannot recommend that people read. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
And so but it's so important to me, it's been so influential on me, that it is now let me instead create the thing to point them to the replacement, you know?
Right.
And so it's like, okay, I've always wanted to be like, okay, you can't read Homestuck, but here's everything you could possibly want to know about it, everything that ever happens.
Yeah.
Here's this 6-hour video or whatever, you know? And so I've, honestly, I'm working myself up to that because I've never done a video essay before. So it's like, okay, Psycholonials, this visual novel, this is step 1. Homestuck is maybe like, I don't know, step 3 or 4. And that I would have to break it up. Into probably like 4 videos, you know, and I'd like video 1 would have to be like the first couple acts, and I have no clue. I have no frame of reference for A, how long one of those videos would be, and B, how long it would take to make.
Yeah.
Because I'd have to read
dozens.
I'd have to read, you know,
least.
a good 2,000 pages.
Yeah.
I'd have to write about 2,000 pages. I'd have to record all that, and then I'd have to edit with specific pages, you know, like it'll be insane, but it's this goal of mine.
I think probably the key there is just going to be how you organize your notes. That's going to be a feat in and of itself.
Yeah.
The project organization. It's going to be a beefy Word doc.
And it's like, I think that it's dangerous as a creative in projects like this to fixate too much on the end product.
Yeah.
And so I try not to, because like if you focus on the end product, you're never going to start, and you're never going to be able to get yourself to do the work,
right?
Because you're just going to want it to be done.
That makes
sense.
I
I have thought before, like, okay, cool. 5 years from now, when this whole project is done, I would do that. I would release the omnibus video. Okay, here's all 4 of them put together. Here's all of Homestuck totally in one video.
Yeah.
I want to know how long that video will be.
I'm guessing
no
it's
idea.
going to be 8 to 12 hours.
Me too. I'm pretty sure that's about how long it would be.
I would not be surprised if it was that long. And you know what? I will watch every minute of it.
I want to make the definitive video. I want to make the last word on Homestuck.
I'm not gonna read Homestuck anytime soon or ever. I'm just gonna watch your 12-hour video and call it good.
Yeah.
I'll get everything I need from it.
Yeah. So this is Psycholonials is a step 1.
Yeah.
And also this podcast is to get me the reason I wanted to do this podcast is because hopefully it'll help me get there.
Yeah.
Being able to like talk about things and stay fired up on like the things I'm
even just
passionate
put
about.
Out some media. Just get something out there.
Yeah, yeah. I guarantee that once I start working on this Homestuck thing, I'll be talking about some facet of Homestuck on like every episode of this podcast.
It's
just
going
a warning.
To consume your life.
Yeah,
you will become Homestuck.
So I've read Homestuck 2 times. In its entirety. I've read Homestuck. Yes, I have. I read it once in high school, and then I read it once during COVID. When I read it in high school, I don't have exact numbers, but I think it took me about 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And during that 1.5 years, it was a pretty major part of my life.
Yeah.
You know, I would read, you know, a few dozen pages every day or every other day.
Right.
The second time I read Homestuck was during COVID, and I read it in 1 month. And I was reading almost nonstop.
Yeah.
That was like my main hobby, is I would just read Homestuck for a couple hours every day.
Yeah.
I was also specifically reading it with my brother, because I finally got my brother to cave and read it with me. So we were I was reading to keep up with him, and he was reading to keep up with me. And it was this little feedback loop, and we finished the whole thing in a month.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason I can't recommend people read Homestuck, and why I want to make this is because when you read it, you have to basically give your life to it, and it's not the best piece of media to be giving your life to.
Right.
You know, it's not clean. It's not very, you know, good in like, I don't know, a moral sense. I don't know. You won't always feel better after reading it, kind of thing.
Right.
And so it's hard to dedicate your life to that. But I will sacrifice myself. I will give my life a third time to read Homestuck.
Yeah.
And then I will give my life I'll give hundreds of hours to make these videos, and then hopefully I can finally rest and I can be at peace.
Yeah, you can leave it. You literally, I think you've been talking about this almost since we've known each other.
I've wanted to do this for years. You've been
talking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. And I mean, honestly, if you could finish it in a month, then I bet you could finish this video essay in 2 months. From now.
If I quit my job, maybe. If I didn't go to school.
You could do all that too.
8-hour days.
No, we're talking like 22-hour days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel like it's always fun to start projects like that. Something I frequently run into is staying motivated to keep projects running. It's like, okay, cool, I started this project, it's going to be super awesome and fun, and then, like there's some roadblock comes up, or life gets busy, and I lose the motivation to actually continue doing it. Have you ever dealt with that before?
100%, dude. 150%. I'd say the biggest, well, hands down, the biggest creative projects that I've done in my life are is writing music. I've released several albums, and every time, like, there's absolutely ups and downs in writing music for me.
Right.
Ups and downs in like motivation and stuff like that.
Right.
And like any given album probably has like half a dozen bursts that went into it. Whether those bursts were like a week or 2 weeks or something. And then I drop it for a month and I don't do much,
Yeah.
Eventually you just want something to be done, and you just throw yourself into it, and you're just like, okay, I literally do not care about the quality of the product anymore. I just want it to be done. And that's when you finally finish it. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that helps or hinders your creative process? The dropping it for a month and then coming back to it for a couple weeks.
I mean, I think it's fine. I can't, whether it helps or hinders, I think it's just reality,
Yeah.
Like, hobbies, your interests will sway, you'll hyperfixate on something for a bit. Like,
right.
Whether or not it's helpful, I feel like sometimes yes, it's helpful. Like, you come back, for me, I get stuck. I'll get stuck on a song for a length of time. And it usually does take, sometimes I come back to it and I'm inspired and I'm like, okay, I know what the next thing is and I can continue it. But sometimes it literally is like, I come back and I'm like, okay, no matter what, I'm going to finish this song.
Yeah.
And so I just finish it. There's always the part in the creative process where it's work, it's not just inspiration and it's not all flowing. It's work and you have to do it.
It's not a fun hobby at a point.
Yeah. But that's because you care about the end product and it's worth it. The work is always worth it. But yeah. And then there's other times where you really are in that flow state and, I crank out a whole song in a day or even in a couple hours, or maybe I crank it out in like a week, but I've been like kind of in that flow state the whole time. And I don't feel like there's a measurable like difference in quality between the two like you're talking about. I think it's all parts in the creative process. Right.
Yeah, I think because one of the things I struggle with a lot is like I've never really taken a significant creative project to completion. And so as soon as something starts to feel like work, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll go do something else now. You know what I mean? Like if it ceases to bring me enjoyment in the moment. But maybe that's a paradigm shift that needs to happen where it's like, yeah, this might feel like work sometimes, but that's okay because it'll be awesome when it's done. But,
yeah, absolutely. And I guess that is, I mentioned before how I think it's dangerous sometimes to focus too much on the product because I feel like that can be discouraging in the moment and it can you can lose motivation because
Right.
it's just a wish, it's not, because you that creativity and stuff has to be about the process for you in order to finish it. But at the same time, there does reach a point where you have to care about the product. You have to care about the end goal enough that you're willing to force yourself to do it,
Right, willing to do the not fun things.
Yeah, yeah. And on top of that, I feel like those kinds of less fun things, you force yourself to sit down and do it a bit, and then you get back into the groove, and I feel like the hurdle isn't always as big as it feels like it is.
Right.
But
right.
I would also speak to the power of finishing something. Like, I've heard other people say this too. I think it's really empowering to prove to yourself that you can finish a project, and put something out into the world and make something, and then that it's easier to do the second one.
Right, sort of a snowball effect of motivation.
Yeah, and also just a snowball effect of like figuring out your workflow, and it becomes easier, and it becomes more natural. I don't know.
Right.
You get better at being creative and being productive.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that a ton.
I'm excited to see what the first thing you put out is, dude.
I don't know what the first thing I'm going to put out is. I created...
Maybe it's this...
For instance, a long time ago, I created a whole blog website. I put up one post, and that was it. And then things got busy, and I never actually went back and did it again. But I don't know, maybe...
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's a good place to start. Just write something.
And... Yeah. Just find the things that you enjoy. And if you get discouraged and you drop something, it doesn't matter. Just keep going. Keep doing something else.
Yeah. So I've got like a number of projects that I would love to do. Like, I think it'd be super fun to make an electric bike, or a hydroponics farm, or, make a cool YouTube series, or write some cool articles for a blog. Like there's tons of stuff I want to do, but just finding the spark to do it.
Yeah, and I think another big trick there is it's not which you especially can't start with the one of those that feels the most exciting to finish.
Yeah.
The most exciting thing to have or to have done. You need to find the thing that's the most exciting to do in the moment and to work on, because that's the one you'll finish.
Right.
Because like I'm really fascinated by like hardware synthesis, and I love watching videos of people making these crazy like DIY electronic stuff.
Right.
And I've dabbled in that, and I feel like I bounced off it. Like I also I'm going to school for that, so hopefully I'll pick up some stuff on the way. But things like writing music and writing, I don't know, other stuff like that. That's the stuff that I enjoy more the process of. I love the product too, but that's just what's clicked more for me.
Right now, I mean,
and I'm trying my hand at video essays, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, trying both of your hands, I hope.
And my mouth. The problem with video essays is so far they're more fun to talk about than to work on. 'Cause, like,
I feel that.
I'm trying to find these shortcuts. Like, okay, let me just write bullet points and then talk into a microphone, so I don't have to write a script.
Right.
And it didn't really. It's not really going to work. Like, maybe I could try again. I don't know. Maybe that's a skill I could develop, because I really don't want to write a script.
Right.
But I think that's the part here that I just have to knuckle down and do.
Like, there's no real way around it.
If I want it to be of any quality.
Right.
But that's the huge motivation to do the podcast, is I just want to talk about things instead of
actually having to do it.
It's a lot easier to just talk. It's a lot more fun to just talk about something you like than
100%.
Put dozens of hours into
100%. I feel like it's always a lot more fun to talk about ideas and things you want to do than it is to actually do them. And so maybe there's, at least for me, I think maybe there's this disconnect between the idea of something and the reality of something. that needs to be bridged. Just, like you said, just by putting something out there and getting it done and getting experience in the realm of the creative process. But time will tell. Time will tell. I am but a young lad.
Yeah. We'll check in next week. We can hold ourselves accountable through this podcast.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, I think we've been at this for about an hour. So.
Yeah, we've been going for a bit more than an hour.
I am an old man, and I go to bed very early.
I also think that an hour is a great amount of time to talk for a podcast. So.
Yes. So an hour is a good amount of time to fantasize about what we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. An hour is also a good amount of time for me to stress that my audio is peaking the whole time. So
yeah.
This might be totally unlistenable.
And you know what? We're going to put it out anyways.
What? We are. Ryan and Jason talk about things.
I've been recording some Vampire Survivors to put behind this, so it's good to go.
Are you playing Vampire Survivor right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, dude. Let's go. Okay, you gotta send me the footage of that. I'll put that in the background. Oh my god.
100%.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh, thank you.
I figured, well, if I'm recording in OBS, I might as well.
Can we say that the title is temporary, or is it just Ryan and Jason talk about things? There's got to be something better we could call it. We'll figure it out.
We'll say it's permanent until we figure something out that's better.
It is totally malleable. It is permanent. We've already printed the T-shirts, but until we change it.
Yes, precisely.
Beautiful. Well, I don't know if we even introduced ourselves at the start of this. I feel like that's a thing that podcasters do.
Oh, we can introduce ourselves at the end.
Well, thanks for listening. We hope that our little diatribes were entertaining to anybody. Yeah, I'm Jason.
And I'm Ryan, Jason's friend.
Yeah, I'm Jason, Ryan's friend.
Yeah.
And this is where we say our catchphrase, and our voices start to fade out, and our theme song starts to come back in. Ooh.
So delicious.
See us.